Written by Brian Augustine with art by Mike Mignola, released in 1989 and considered by many to be the very first Elseworlds story, this is Gotham by Gaslight. The book begins on a dark night in the 1800s, I assume. A stagecoach rides down an isolated road. But standing in the middle of a road is a man with two handguns. I wonder how long he was, standing there for. Did he know there were people coming down this road at all? Or is he just this guy who hangs out in the woods as some sort of, highwayman? Anyway, the two occupants get out of the stagecoach for some reason and confront the man. Well, the man shoots this man and woman, and behind them is a small boy. Anyway, the boy is about to be shot when suddenly a shitload of bats appear and swarm the man, causing him to flee. Cut to Vienna, 1889. Bruce Wayne is talking to Dr. Sigmund Freud. The two are talking about Bruce's reoccurring nightmare about the night his parents were killed. Freud proposes that the bats in the dream signify something deep down in Bruce's subconscious. But Bruce is like, nah, man, that doesn't sound like me. Also, I just came here to study, and now I'm leaving to London so I can get back home to Gotham, because I have plans. See ya. So, on the ship back to Gotham, Bruce runs into the good old Wayne family friend, Uncle Jacob! So, Bruce and Jacob walk around the deck of the ship, just talking and catching up. Finally, the ship arrives at the wonderful city of Gotham! Jacob and Bruce part ways at the dock, and Bruce is met by good old Alfred Pennyworth. We learn that it has been a whole 5 years since Bruce left Gotham, and when the pair finally return to Wayne Manor, Bruce wonders if it still holds his secrets. So Bruce and Alfred walk through a old and empty Wayne Manor when Bruce creaks open the door to reveal the 1800s version of the Batsuit. Dun dun dun. The next day, Bruce meets up with Inspector Gordon, who happens to look a hell of a lot like Teddy Roosevelt. So, they have a little chat about Gotham and what's been happening in the past 5 years and how much it's grown and the state it's in. Then, Gordon tells Bruce about how bad the crime problem is becoming. With one example being some guy who would, marry rich old ladies and then poison them and take all their valuables. And when the police finally caught the man, he took his own poison, and it left his face contorted in a large smile. Seems familiar. Later that night, some goons trying to crack open a giant safe, when suddenly Batman crashes through the window and gets the shit out of the guys, but is interrupted by one of the goons holding the conductor hostage. And it's that classic scene of a goon holding a gun to some innocent person, telling the superhero to stay back, as the hero inches closer and closer. As you can guess, Batman defeats the goon and saves the conductor, then disappears into the night. Then we get a montage of different newspaper clippings about a giant Batman being seen, as well as the murders of various women throughout the city. An unspecified amount of time later, Bruce is attending some party for a prince that no one cares about. Gordon is there providing security for the party while also attempting to try and calm down the partygoers who keep asking about the various street killings and the sightings of the Batman. Bruce and Gordon are interrupted by Commissioner Tulliver, who thinks that if they catch the Batman, they will catch the serial killer. Bruce is like, I don't think you know what you're talking about, Commissioner. And the commissioner is like most commissioners that come before Gordon, who really want to catch the Batman and see him as a criminal that needs to be put in custody. Then, somehow, when everybody was looking away, Bruce disappears from the party. Somewhere in Gotham, a young woman walks down a desolate, foggy street. The narrator reveals that this woman continues to mock them, and that the narrator thought that they had killed her in London. Unfortunately for the woman, she is brutally stabbed to death and dragged under a bridge. The next day's paper reveals that these murders mirror those of the one and only Jack the Ripper. Yep, it's Jack the Ripper versus Batman. Later that night, Batman is hanging out on some rooftop contemplating if being Batman was the right thing to do, and maybe if he stops Jack the Ripper, the everyday citizen will stop fearing him. Suddenly, a woman shrieks for help, and Batman lunges into action. Upon arriving at the scene, Batman finds the woman dead in the alley. Like, he doesn't get there in time. The next morning, Gordon gets a letter reading, "Dear Boss, hello to America, hello to Gotham City. Truly the streets are paved in gold, though they'll run red 'fore I'm through. My knife is as sharp as ever, and no whore is safe, even if she doesn't take money. Ha ha! Yours truly, Jack the Ripper." Huh. Ha ha. Sounds familiar. Gordon is then interrupted by Commissioner Tolliver, who informs him that they have found out who the killer is. Dun dun dun! Bruce Wayne! So the police force make their way to the manor, and Bruce tells them to search to their heart's content, because they won't find anything. Anything. Well, they do find something. A bloody knife and, some bloody gloves. And Bruce Wayne is promptly arrested. On October 9th, the trial begins. A very bearded and Amish-looking Harvey Dent gives his opening remarks, while Uncle Jacob provides Bruce counsel. October 12th, witnesses are brought in, with one woman even claiming to have seen Bruce, even though she's a drunk. October 15th, Tolliver tells the court of the evidence the police have. If you're wondering, this hard evidence that they have on Bruce being the Ripper, it's the fact that Bruce was in London at the same time as the original killings and not being able to recall his nights, and that the Ripper is apparently said to have had medical training, and obviously it's Bruce because his dad was a doctor. I don't know about you guys, but this case seems pretty sound. Bruce is he figures that there's no way in hell the jury will find him guilty. They find him guilty and he's to be hanged. Oh. Well, sorry, Bruce. So I guess Alfred's gonna have to be Batman now. Bruce is then admitted to Arkham Asylum, and Gordon visits him and somehow brings along everything the GCPD has on Jack the Ripper. Over the next couple days, Bruce studies the files on the Ripper from America and London, as well as his father's old medical text. A week later, Uncle Jacob stops by and tells Bruce that sadly his appeal was denied, and that he hangs in 5 days. Later, in a fit of just pure rage, Bruce tosses all the papers and books away, and in the mess, he finds an old picture of his father's Civil War detachment. He notices something. The regiment's flag bears the same symbol as the murderer's knife. Bruce realizes that the knife belongs to his father, and he finally figures out that his father is the kill. Wait, no, Thomas Wayne's dead. So that must mean, oh my god. The next day, Alfred visits Bruce in Arkham. And I don't know, I guess the guard gave Alfred a key because he somehow gets into the cell and he and Bruce switch clothes and places. Also somehow allowing Bruce to escape. I guess the guard didn't pay attention to what Alfred looked like. Anyway, that night, another young woman walks through the streets, and gee, you'd think people would realize by now that this is not a smart or safe idea. Have you not been reading the newspapers? Anyway, the narrator goes on about how they have had to wait so long to kill her. And since Bruce Wayne hangs in the morning, now's the perfect opportunity. So, the Ripper grabs her and is about to strike, but the Batman appears, and Jack the Ripper freaks out and flees, frantically running through the streets of Gotham, trying to find somewhere to hide. Batman gives chase, and just when he gets behind the Ripper, the Ripper slams Batman in the face with a fucking, plank of wood, and he steals a stagecoach. Outside the city, the Ripper races along a dirt road when Batman appears behind him on a horse. Batman leaps off and tackles the Ripper to the ground, revealing that it is none other than Jacob Packer. Bruce tosses Jacob into a gate of a nearby conveniently placed cemetery, and Bruce demands to know why Jacob did it. Packer tells him that he had to silence her laughter. Martha's laughter. Jacob tells Bruce that during the war he had assisted Thomas and they became friends, And after the war, Thomas paid Jacob's way through medical school. And when Jacob got kicked out, Thomas paid for his law school degree and got him a job as a family solicitor. And Packer had everything he wanted, except Martha. One day he told Martha of his feelings for her, only to be laughed at and rejected. Packer came to hate the family. He just knew they were laughing at him. That's why he hired a man to kill the three of them. Only the child lived. But Jacob Packer finally got to him too. This is when Bruce takes off his mask and reveals himself. Packer freaks out and is dragged to the also conveniently placed Wayne gravestone. Like, what are the chances that he stops them right outside of a cemetery with his own parents' graves in it? Bruce threatens to kill him, and, like, Packer agrees with him. He wants it to happen, too. Suddenly, like, the entire Gotham police force arrives. Bruce tells Gordon that Jacob Packer is the Ripper. Packer admits to the murders, as well as having framed Bruce Wayne. Gordon holds them both at gunpoint and orders them to come with him. Packer pulls out another knife and slashes Bruce across the chest, but is shot in the head by Gordon. Gordon asks why Packer killed all those women, to which Bruce responds, "Who truly understands the actions of a madman, Inspector?" Batman asks Gordon if the police have enough evidence to release Wayne. After learning that they do, Batman disappears into the night. The book ends with Batman overlooking Gotham City, and Gordon speaks to another officer. He calls Batman Gotham's guardian angel, and that he suspects that they're really gonna need him. The end.